welcome back to Yggdrasil Modding. Today I'm going to show you Stable Diffusion image generation using ComfyUI and Stable Diffusion version 3. So the first thing that you need is Stable Diffusion v3. First things first, what do you actually need to get this? You will need on huggingface.co an account. You set that up yourself. I'm not going to show you how to set up an account. Now the next thing that you need is once you get here, you'll notice it is a gated model. You're just going to have to click agree, type in some BS, and hit agree. The next thing you need to do, go to Files and Versions, and download the medium. You don't necessarily have to use either of the include clips. They are optional, and they do increase the size, but they will allow you to bypass some of these files that you need. You need the clip G, clip L, and one of these two T5s. If you're going to be trying to put text into your image, I would recommend a larger one. If you're not, use a smaller one. It's up to you. This does, of course, affect speed of generation and a few other things, but they're all rather minor. Next thing you need ComfyUI. You can go ahead and download the zip of the source code. You can clone it. You can go to releases and download the assets, the pre-built version. If you download the version from assets, you will notice it is a 7-zip archive. For that, you will need 7-zip to extract it. If you download the code as a zip, it's just a standard Windows zip archive. You can use Windows to extract it, and if you use git clone or the gh repo clone, then it's just the straight files as is. One thing to note, whenever you're downloading the 7-zip, if you choose that option, these are pre-built and they are for specific versions of CUDA. So if you have a older NVIDIA card, use the CU118. A newer card, use the CU121. And if you don't have a NVIDIA card, then use the CPU version. It is also important to note the 7-zip release version is built for Windows specifically. If you are on Linux, you should use the download zip as source, or you should git clone it yourself. If you're on Windows though, once you've downloaded, just use 7-zip to extract it, and then go into the folder and run CPU for CPU generation, or run NVIDIA for GPU if you have a GPU. This fully includes the Python executables, so you should not need to actually download Python separately, as it will just run. On the other hand, if you download the git source code from the repo, then it will be requiring you to install Python yourself. This part is for if you download the source code, go to that folder, python-m venv venv. You'll then use source venv bin activate. Or if you are on Windows, venv/scripts/activate. Of course, that doesn't exist on Linux. That is just the Windows equivalent. You'll then need to follow these commands down here, AMD or NVIDIA. So just copy this. And then you need to run the next command, pip install requirements. And once everything has finished installing, you can run python main.py. ComfyUI can be accessed at localhost 8188 or 127.0.0.1 8188, or your personal IP, internal IP that is, 8188. All of those work. However, an alternative that I would mention is close out of it and change the command to port 7860. This just makes it consistent with other similar UIs. Now change the colon to 7860. You'll notice that it pops up with a v1.5 version. This will not work by default unless you download that model mentioned. Next thing you need to do is you need to make sure to copy the Safe Tensors models that you have downloaded, the S3, D3 Medium, or the Including Clips, or the Including Clips T5. Just copy them, go to your Models folder, checkpoints, place them there. You can also cut and paste instead. It's up to you. You will then need the clips that you downloaded, the clip G, clip L, and one of the two T5s. Go to Models, go to Clip, and paste them there. Once that's done, click Refresh, and you should be able to load it. Now, one thing to note about this, if you had looked at this, you will see there's ComfyUI example workflows. Because Stability AI knows that a lot of people are going to be using ComfyUI. Generally, if you're following this tutorial, you're probably going to want the basic version. Just go ahead and open it, click Raw, Control A, Control C, go here, and Control V. And there you go. It might have these files named differently than you. Just make sure that you select the right one, and you can queue it. You'll notice here this is what Stable Diffusion v3 set as their basic prompt and basic generation. It's pretty interesting, but you're going to want to change stuff. Let's bypass all of this. These options in purple are not necessary. They are extra that Stability AI put in. Here's what it looks like without. Not that much difference, right? So you can just move all those out of the way. Now, you can just modify your positive prompt here and your negative prompt here and generate what you want. Here you go. Now, something to note, most people are disappointed in Stable Diffusion version 3. It's not exactly the best. They'll probably tell you, if you ask them, well, it's only the 2B, but then if that's the case, they should have just released the large version or the XL version. But anyway,